Welcome to the news. We take a look at stories making headlines. The police officer of Lusaka who was shot in the stomach with an AK-47 rifle by his fellow officer has died. And the government is actively considering the option of allowing former presidents to design and build houses for themselves. And other news in detail. A police officer of Lusaka who was shot dead in the stomach with an AK-47 rifle by his fellow officer has died. Zambia Police spokesperson Esther Katongo has confirmed that Lennox Kapila, 26, died on Sunday, the 16th of January between 09 hours and 10 hours. Ms. Katongo has told Q News that this is despite his gunshot wound having been operated on at Levi Mwanawasa University Teaching Hospital, where he was rushed after he was shot. She states that the funeral is being held in Charleston Police Camp. Ms. Katongo has also disclosed that the officer who shot the deceased, Edwin Kawasia of Minwood Kamwena Police Post, is still at large. She notes that Constable Kawasia dumped the AK-47 rifle and his uniform near Minwood Kamwena Police Post before going into hiding. Meanwhile, Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampiongo has directed Inspector General of Police Kakuma Kanganjam to thoroughly investigate the case in which Constable Lennox Kapila was shot by a fellow officer at Minali Police Post. Mr. Kampiongo, who has regretted the incident in which Constable Kapila, who has since died, was shot by a fellow police officer, says as a Home Affairs Minister, he will not take the matter lightly. The minister has directed the Police Inspector General to ensure that the culprit is brought to book and that justice prevails in this matter. Mr. Kampiongo has also noted the need for the police to look at what the Code of Ethics entails regarding such happenings during their investigations. Government is actively considering the option of allowing former Republican presidents to design and build houses for themselves. Secretary to the Cabinet, Roland Mshika, says government wants to be now giving former president hard cash as opposed to itself building them houses. Dr. Mshika says government has realized that the modality used in the case of former President Rupia Banda, who was given money to build his own retirement house, has proved effective. In an interview with QTV News, Dr. Msiska has disclosed that besides constructing the house in the shortest possible time, the entire cost of the house was about 25 million kwacha. Dr. Msiska states that it is therefore government's considered view that this modality be the one used to construct houses for the other former heads of state. He says that with this modality, former presidents will have the latitude of supervising the construction works on their own. The Secretary to the Cabinet notes that to this effect, widows of late presidents Levi Mwanawasa and Michael Sata have both requested that government uses this modality. He says that once the money is available, both widows will be given 25 million kwacha to design and supervise the construction of their respective late husband retirement houses.
Because in this particular case, I think that the whole entire cost for President Banda's house is about 25 million kwacha, if I remember very well, but I can check the figures for you to confirm. Because as I'm speaking now, I have requests from the other two late presidents, such as widow. I've gotten the letter, and the late Mwanawasa I've gotten the letter. So once the money is available, the same modality will be given to them. They will supervise, and you see in a short while, as soon as you give them the money, in a short while, they will build and will stop paying the rentals that we are paying. Because what people are not talking about is, as soon as President Banda shifted from his rented house, which we are paying, again I can give you the figures, anything between $10,000 per month to whatever else. So as soon as he moved into that house, we stopped paying those rentals. So you start saving immediately. So it is actually in the interest of government to make sure that we release that money and let them supervise, build their own houses, and then we move on. Because in
a total of 450 10 Lusaka residents affected by the contaminated water supplied by the Lusaka Water and Sewage Company (LWSC) have been treated in various health institutions. And Lusaka Province Minister Boma Lusambo has instructed the LWSC to secure all its premises across the city as a way of addressing the issue of encroachment. The LWSC, Minister Lusambo, who has described the supply of contaminated water by the LWSC as unfortunate, issued the instruction after visiting some of the affected families in Lusaka's Malata area. He has assured all residents affected by the contaminated water of government support in ensuring the situation is normalized and they begin to receive safe and clean water. Our staff Nakaunga Nakaunga has more in the following report.
2 weeks.
Yes. Stina shiteli arise stina zibe chamenchalenge satinchani. So kuboro shiteli arise kuboro mbele after produce wakamba tamu. No manzi siyali bwino yamene tipumwa.
Oh. Bad. Okay, nda manzi atoka kujamena.
Netoka kupona.
Oh. Ndio bawota wanuza chani. Bawota walikuti. Bawota wanuza chini. Ndio manzi.
He is on a fact-finding mission. Despite being on leave, Lusaka Province Minister just couldn't sit back amid this calamity that has befallen some parts of Lusaka in the beginning of the new year. The entrance into the new year by some residents of Lusaka's Nyumbayanga, Napsa complex and Malata areas wasn't as good and merry as anticipated, as they suffered from sudden diarrhea and vomiting, which was caused as a result of consuming contaminated water. According to Lusaka Province Health Director Dr. Konsi Tumwale, about 410 residents ranging from children to adults have been affected.
Of diarrhea diseases that affected this Malata community, also some parts of Highbex and also Bowlen. So from our health facilities, both government and private, we have managed to successfully treat 410 patients as we speak, and they have responded very well. We have also managed to, through contact tracing, identify areas that were mostly affected, and we have been on the ground providing health promotion and sensitizing the community so that they are able to treat the water.
The situation has irked the provincial minister, who today, in the company of senior management officials from the Lusaka Water and Sewage Company, Lusaka City Council, Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation and other government institutions, visited some of the affected residents. The minister, who earlier visited the Leopards Hill Lusaka Water and Sewage Company service station, where the actual contamination is believed to have happened, is irked by the lawlessness which has led to encroachments in the Lusaka Water and Sewage Company areas, ordering for the demolition of any structures that have been illegally built.
Because that water point, I think it's not secured. It's not secured not only to this type of situation. It's not secured even to our enemies. If it means they're sabotaging our area, they can easily do that. Because that area is so exposed to everyone. So we need to secure that point and safeguard the lives of our people. To me, what happened is a disaster. Yeah. Hitting that number, 410 affected is not a simple number. Okay, some of us were not supposed to be here, but because of the situation we are here. I'm on leave actually, but this situation we can't be on leave. We can't enjoy our holiday when our people are affected, especially the young ones, the innocent young ones.
Lusaka Water and Sewage Company and the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation representatives had this to say on the measures they have put in place to rectify the situation.
There has been a concerted effort working with other institutions, Ministry of Health, NOSCO, WAMA, and other stakeholders. We created rapid response teams which have been sampling from the day this incident was reported. Now, for long-term measures, as a ministry, we have instructed the Lusaka Water and Sewage Management to ensure that they secure these facilities. Not only this facility near Leopards Hill, but all the facilities within the city.
We heightened the water quality surveillance. I think as you can see now, we are compliant in terms of the water quality. The water has got chlorine. Our sources with chlorine. We've gone around the households. Here, Malata, we've gone into IBEX. We've also gone into Woodlands. We've gone into NHA complex for NAPSA. I think all the households now they've got good supply of water. The water is good quality to drink. It's safe to drink.
The minister also took time to visit some of the patients from the affected areas still admitted at the University Teaching Hospital. As the saying goes that water is life, it is hoped that the situation will soon be normalized for the affected residents to start receiving clean and safe drinking water. Nakaonga reporting for Q News in Lusaka.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for that report. A 24-year-old mentally retarded woman, Lucia Kapandula of Shelani village in Rufunza, has been impregnated for the third time by unknown persons or people. Relatives of the victim, whose name the victims called on the police to investigate the matter, since this is the second time she has been raped. In the first rape incident in 2014, Lucia Kapandula, who is also physically challenged, had her first pregnancy when she was 19 years, and the matter was reported to the police, but no investigations were done. Kapandula now has a third child who is 7 months old, which has made concerned members of the public to now call on relevant authorities to conduct a DNA test on prime suspects, who they say are some of her own family members. Rufunza District Commissioner Judith Chama, who confirmed the audio in an interview, has also called on the police to move in and correct the situation of some unscrupulous individuals in the area who are taking advantage of a vulnerable woman. Mrs. Chama has advised the police in the district to be firm on the named prime suspects involved so that justice is done. An entrepreneur of Lusangazi district, Charles Mvula, has come up with a plan that will change the face of the newly created district of Eastern Province. Mr. Mvula has told QTV News in an interview that plans are underway to set up a golf course, a game park, and a limestone and gold mine. He explains that the investments are planned for Lusangazi are in response to President Edgar Lungu's call on local entrepreneurs to help government create employment and develop the newly created districts. Mr. Mvula says explorations for both gold and limestone have been done, and that all that is remaining is a geological report, which he says has delayed the commencement of setting up of the mine. He notes that once completed, the golf course will attract a lot of organizations holding their golf tournaments in the district, thereby generating revenue for local people in the area.
I'm not begging money here, but we are just trying to work as Zambians. It's starting from the president. I'm asking for anything, any way he can come through to these ideas. These ideas are workable. These ideas will help him to have many people employed. These ideas I have will help him to get, it will be an addition to already revenue that is being collected by the government. It's an addition. Again, the same excellence, Mr. Edgar Chagarungu, is to help, because that district is a new district. So it's him to say, why I'm putting this district. He has seen things which are there. So if someone comes with these ideas, he should be in the forefront to help us. So I expect the government to be in forefront, not to be grabbing what he, like the mines, they like grabbing. No, you have dread, or what? No, I'm a Zambian. I expect nothing like grabbing. I expect them to support me. So I expect too much expectations, because this idea of say let's create job employment, job opportunities is coming from him. So him should be in forefront. Say no, help that guy.
Still in the news, the Local Government Association of Zambia, LGSZ, has reaffirmed its advice to councils and municipalities in the country to stimulate and create economic growth of the residents they serve. LGAZ President Christopher Kangombe says economic growth can be achieved through participation of local players such as councils and municipalities in their respective localities. Mr. Kangombe, who is also Kitwe City Mayor, notes that most towns and municipalities in the country are endowed with vast natural resources which, if prudently utilized, could eventually reduce overdependence for funds and grants from the central government. Zanis reports that Mr. Kangombe's remarks follows 10 selected councils that have benefited by trainers in the area of local economic development (LED) in 3 provinces, namely Copperbelt, Lusaka and Northern respectively. Mr. Kangombe says his association has been able to support these councils in holding structured engagements with government by discussing ways to strengthen their ability to deliver on their mandate. The local authorities that underwent LED training are Chongwe, Kafue, Kasama, Luansha, Luwingu, Masaiti, Mporokoso, Mpulungu, Ndola and Rufunsa towns respectively. This is according to a press statement issued to Zanis in Lusaka today by LGAZ Information Officer Mrs. Mpatanji Namumba. The University Teaching Hospital UTH says all is set for the operation to remove the remaining over 20 needles in 3-year-old boy Richard Zulu of Chipata. UTH Children's Hospital Head Clinical Care Musako Mwene Chanyaya says the operation to remove the remaining needles in 3-year-old Richard Zulu is scheduled for 9 o'clock on Monday. Dr. Mwene Chanya has told Q News in an interview that the hospital is ready to conduct the operation, which will be carried out by a team of local surgeons. 3-year-old boy who was found with needles and sharp wires in his body was evacuated to UTH on the 8th of December 2018 for specialized care and treatment. Still in the local news, Minister of Gender Elizabeth Piri is confident that the revised Marriage Act will be presented before Parliament for consideration this year. Government is in the process of revising the Marriage Act that will describe a child as any person under the age of 21. Mrs. Piri says that despite issues of a child now being under the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Child Development, she is optimistic that the Act will be revised and tabled before Parliament. She says revising the Marriage Act and raise the consent age to marry to 21 years will go a long way in combating child marriages and general abuse of young women in Zambia.
You know, we are one government. We have an interest as a ministry, and also the Ministry of Youth and Sport. I think they're on top of things. We might have it next year. The Marriage Act, as you are aware now, the child is taken away from us to the Ministry of Youth. But that aside, as a Minister of Gender, we are very much interested. We want to thank our traditional leaders in the Eastern Province, the Chewa chiefs and the Nsenga chiefs. They have come up with bylaws that they are saying let our children reach 21 before they get married. So these bylaws are helping the government to even fight the child marriage better than it was, because if it is owned by the traditional leaders, the people that own people, because the chiefs own the subjects, we are assured of fighting this bad vice of child marriage. So we are moving somewhere. Though as Minister of Gender, a child has been taken to Minister of Youth and Sport, and through the Minister of Youth and Sport, very soon it will be there.
In community news, garbage collection in some parts of Lusaka has stalled due to a breakdown of the bulldozer at the Chunga landfill. Lusaka City Council LCC Public Relations Manager George Schimba has confirmed the development to QTV News. Mr. Schimba says that the bulldozer, which pushes the waste dumped at the dump site in Chunga further into the landfill, has developed a fault. He says that this has also caused the trucks that collect waste from around the city to equally get marooned at the dump site. Mr. Chimba however states that the LCC has engaged the Zambia National Service ZNS and hired another equipment to use to push the garbage further into the landfill. He says the council is working tirelessly to ensure that it maximizes garbage collection in the central business district and surrounding areas, as the current situation has seen garbage piling up.
The issue of garbage collection for the past 1 week hasn't been up to date in terms of collection. It's not 100%. The reason is simple. We had a challenge at the landfill. You know, we only have a landfill in Chunga. So what happened there is that the equipment broke down. The procedure is that when contractors collect waste from the townships, they go and dump there, but they don't go deeper into the landfill because of bad roads and also the kind of waste that is there, because they are metals and they usually puncture their tires. So they dump at some point. Then our men move in with bulldozers and front-end loaders to push the waste further so that they create space for more people to be dumping there. But when you have a breakdown in terms of a bulldozer, then it means you can't push the waste further. And so what happened was that these transporters or waste collection companies, they were stuck there. They could go there and be there for 3-4 hours without going back to collect again from the township. And so that problem at the landfill affected collection even in the townships, but we have since moved in and hired equipment here and there. ZNS is on hand as usual, and we hope that collection in the township will be maximized so that we stop seeing the waste that we are seeing now. So this waste is arising from that fact which I've explained, and we want to thank residents for being a little bit patient, but waste is not something that we want to keep for a long time. So we are on the ground as Lusaka City Council.
We get to Mansa, where a Mansa-based Catholic clergyman says parents and guardians should always ensure that they follow the guidelines on ensuring that children under their custody are protected. Mansa Diocese Bishop Patrick Chisanga has also urged all parishes and mission schools in the area and the rest of the country to adhere to the child protection policy. Bishop Chisanga states that it is important to ensure that those entrusted with the responsibility of looking after children both at church and in schools uphold integrity in all that they do. He is of the view that children need to be protected from any form of abuse. Bishop Chisanga states that it is the responsibility of those entrusted to look after these children to see to it that they are protected from any form of harm or injury. He has further condemned those people who are in the habit of shielding perpetrators of child abuse, saying they are not being fair to the victims. The opposition political parties seeking to govern the country have been advised to be cautious that their continued insults of President Edgar Lungu will cost them in 2021. Zambian DNA Executive Director Spoki Mlemwa is reminding opposition political parties that it will not matter whether they form an alliance or not, insulting the head of state will have consequences. Mr. Mlemwa says that the opposition should be worried that Zambians are listening to the insults and disrespects they are showing to the office of the Republican president and he who occupies it. He has told Q News that the Zambian DNA prays that none of the opposition political parties will cry foul when again they suffer a humiliating defeat in 2021. Mr. Mlemwa says his organization foresees President Edgar Lungu and his political party winning the election with a resounding victory. He says that the Zambian DNA has based its prediction on the fact that President Edgar Lungu has proved to be a man of his words on most of the promises he has made to the Zambian people.
The majority Zambians' formidable alliance with President Edgar Lungu and the PF will usher the Republican president back in office in 2021. Unlike the opposition UPND's alliance with 9 other political parties, which have nothing to offer Zambians except insult and disrespect for the office of the president and the person who occupies it, is headed yet again another humiliating defeat in 2021. It's our prayer that will not cry foul when they're defeated. However, President Edgar Lungu will yet again triumph in 2021 because he has walked the talk of fulfilling all his campaign promises, of delivering all-inclusive national development without leaving anyone behind. In view of the foregoing, we urge all Zambians to rally behind President Lungu and his PF government as he means well for this great nation.
Meanwhile, political analyst Magdona Chipenzi has advised political parties that have formed an alliance not to heed to any discouragements coming from people against the decision to form a coalition. Mr. Chipenzi says that Zambia needs a very strong opposition, especially as the country goes for elections in 2021. He notes that the alliance will strengthen the opposition front, especially that for a long time now, the ruling Patriotic Front has mocked them of not existing in the country's political arena.
If you have heard, the ruling party has been saying that there's no opposition. And now, when there's the alliance, again, they are shooting it down, saying, no, it will not last, and so on and so forth. But those are political shenanigans, and people should not be worried, those who have formed political party. We need a strong opposition, just like we need the ruling party. But again, when the ruling party is too strong, it means that there will be oppressors, there will be suppressors, and they will abuse public resources, and so on and so forth. That's why we've seen in America, President Trump has not been given an open check. They decided that the House of Representatives should be controlled by the opposition, so that the laws that come up to the Senate should be scrutinized with another eye. So like in our case, we have the parliament controlled by the ruling party. You have actually all institutions controlled by the ruling party. So at the end of the day, the principle of checks and balances becomes very weak.
So that's all we had for you in our news. But before we go, a recap of stories are making headlines once again. A police officer of Lusaka who was shot in the stomach with an AK-47 rifle by his fellow police officer has died. And government is actively considering the option of allowing former presidents design and build houses for themselves. On behalf of everybody involved in the production of the news, my name is Nelson Zulu. Until then, it's bye-bye and enjoy watching QTV.